So there's a lot to discuss when it comes to what's happening with the Nintendo Switch 2 and Switch 1, and something that we don't see a lot when it comes to Nintendo. We've got to talk about some big sales and deals with the Nintendo Switch 2, or Nintendo Switch 1 more like it, but of course backwards compatibility, some great games that we have to talk about, plus an update on Splatoon Raiders. This game is getting more in-depth and detailed than maybe what some people would have thought. We also have a surprise demo to drop on the Nintendo Switch 2 that's actually looking pretty good, and more Nintendo movie stuff coming up here with a classic franchise. So there is a lot to get into. But before we continue on, we are giving away a Nintendo Switch 2. All you have to do to enter is hit that subscribe button if you aren't already subscribed, and drop a comment below. We are giving away a Nintendo Switch 2 once we hit 150,000 subscribers, and it will be random. So the more that you actually comment and interact, the better chance that you have to win. Hit that like button, click that notification bell, and let's go ahead and jump right back into it. Let's start off with Splatoon Raiders for the Nintendo Switch 2. We've got some new information on this game's expansion and what it does, because some people were thinking, okay, it's just a little bit more of an expanded idea on what's happening with Salmon Run, and that might be true, but there's definitely a lot more to it than meets the eye, because Nintendo's revealed some new information on the type of gameplay or locations that you're going to be able to go to, and it seems a bit more in-depth than what we just saw. So over on the official Splatoon North America page, they said this: we found the Spearheart Island to be surprisingly vast and diverse, consisting of many different biomes and even having an expansive underground. There are some traces of civilization as well. Could it have something to do with the salmonids? So man, this looks like we are going to be expanding and finding out exactly what is happening with these creatures and why they're so aggressive and attacking us all the time when it comes to the Splatoon franchise. But as you can see here, there's some nice underground areas as well. So there's going to be the surface, which we already saw, but you're going to be able to go underground and hunt for treasure as well, resources. I like what I'm seeing here so far. I like this lava area and the introduction to the beginning of the place here. I love whenever you have top areas that you can go to and explore, but then you can also kind of go underground into dungeons and see what's happening and see what treasures there. It almost reminds me of like Zelda or Elden Ring or some of these other games that have really nice expansive top areas, but then you can kind of go underground and do a bunch of other stuff as well. So I'm excited for Splatoon Raiders. I think it's going to be surprisingly better than maybe what some people are expecting. Now, I'm expecting the game to be great. I think that there's a lot of anticipation and hype for it because, one, it's priced great. I think that Nintendo's new variable pricing here is looking quite good now at this point. $60 for the physical version, $50 for the digital version. Walmart is doing a price match on that digital version and having it for a little bit under $50, GameCube era pricing for a physical copy of the game. So absolutely a good thing so far with Splatoon Raiders, but I think the biggest thing for me at least, and what makes it kind of all come together, is that it's going to run and look perfect on the Nintendo Switch 2. You can take it anywhere that you want, and it expands something that I've been wanting Nintendo to do. Take some of the different modes and some of the stuff, and they do this all the time, but take some of the modes that are in certain games, expand upon it, make it a full, real single-player campaign with more to do in it. I do like Splatoon single player, but I felt that Salmon Run was always a little bit more fun for me at least, but it was just too small in comparison to maybe even the single players. So what this does is that it takes Splatoon single player and it takes Salmon Run and it puts it together. So this might be, to me at least, the best out of both of them. So I might like this more than what they've done before in the previous DLCs and what they've done in Salmon Run and single player campaigns. So I'm excited for it. I think Splatoon Raiders is going to be a ton of fun. So what do you guys think so far about Splatoon Raiders and what they're doing with this game? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, moving on to the next topic here. We've got a huge, rare first-party digital sale on a bunch of fantastic Nintendo Switch 1 titles, which of course can be played via backwards compatible on the Nintendo Switch 2. So I'm going to go over all of them, then I'm going to go over my best picks of it. So Advanced Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp, that's on sale. Astral Chain Bayonetta 3 Standard Edition, Bayonetta Origins Cereza and the Lost Demon, Fire Emblem Engage Standard Edition, Fire Emblem Warriors, Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes, Fire Emblem 3 Houses, Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, Kirby Star Allies, Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe, Metroid Dread, Bayonetta, and Bayonetta 2, the bundle together. Those are all $39.99. Now for $29.99, you have Bayonetta 2 by itself, Emio the Smiling Man, Famicom Detective Club, so that's a pretty good deal on that game, and Live Alive, the standard edition for $29.99. So all these games are pretty good for the most part, but here are my picks if you're looking to get something. Astral Chain for sure. That is one of the best games that I've ever played in my life. For $39.99, you can't go wrong with Astral Chain. It's getting harder and harder to find that game physical as well, so definitely recommend Astral Chain. Bayonetta, all of the games, Bayonetta 1 and 2, plus Bayonetta 3, and even Bayonetta Origins, all those games are fantastic and now play great. Pretty much locked at 60 FPS with the exception of Bayonetta Origins that has a 30 cap on there, but all the other games play at 60 FPS on the Nintendo Switch 2 and target 60 FPS on the Switch 1, although Bayonetta 3 is really rough, so that one you want to play on the Nintendo Switch 2 if you want to play that one. Fire Emblem Engage, also great game. I like it a lot. I think it has some of the best combat in the series. Fire Emblem 3 Houses has the combat plus the story to boot with it. Very good game, gets you plenty of content as well. Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, definitely recommend playing that on the Nintendo Switch 2 if you have one, because the Switch 1 version, although you can have some fun with it, the frame rate is atrocious, but I recommend it if you have Switch 2, runs at a locked 30 FPS. Metroid Dread, one of the best games of all time in my opinion, definitely a top Metroid game. It's a ton of fun. The graphics, the gameplay, the boss battles, everything in this game is just fantastic, and there's surprisingly a lot of content in there with some free updates, so highly recommend Metroid Dread as well. So all of these games that are on here are pretty good, and this is something that a lot of people say that Nintendo never does, because it is kind of rare to see them have these type of games, despite some of them being quite old. For them to be on sale, it's just something that Nintendo doesn't do a lot outside of like a specific summer sale or a holiday sale, and even digitally you don't see some of these games. So it's good to see that we have a bunch of Fire Emblem games, Astral Chain, Bayonetta, a lot of the core games out there, some of the games that are really in depth and have some good gameplay, a lot of content that you can just pick up and be engrossed for hours on end. So really like what I'm seeing here, like what they've got. Check out Astral Chain, check out Metroid Dread, check out Bayonetta. All of these are fantastic, some of the best games on the Nintendo Switch 1 and play great on Switch 2 as well. So any games you plan on picking up, let me know in the comment section below. All right, moving on to the next topic, we got to discuss Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, because a surprise demo just dropped out of nowhere. Well, we knew the demo was coming, we just didn't know when the demo was coming. So we've got it for the Switch 2 and the Xbox Series. So one of the things that I love that companies do is that when they take the save data from the demo and it can be carried over to the full game when it launches. Square Enix is one of the best at this. We see this a lot with their demos. So you can do that here with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth on the Nintendo Switch 2 and Xbox Series. Now the demo is about 45 gigabytes on the Nintendo Switch 2, and the full game is going to be a shade over 100 gigabytes. So here's more information on the demo from Square Enix. Step into the world beyond Midgar with the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth demo. Experience the beginning of the game through the end of Chapter 2, so that's a pretty good amount of content. A new journey begins for free. If you choose not to proceed to the Mithril Mine, you may return to the previous area and continue exploring. Carry over your demo progress to the full version of the game. If you have save data from the demo, you can claim the Kupo Charm and survival set containing helpful items. Let's talk a little bit more about what is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. After escaping Midgar, the city of Mako, Cloud and his comrades shatter the barriers of fate and embark on a new journey into the wide world beyond. Gallop across grassy plains on the back of chocobos as you explore the world before you. This game is a remake of the original Final Fantasy VII released in 1997. Square Enix added that little part in there. In the second part of the Final Fantasy VII Remake trilogy, and is based on the section of the original story leading up to the Forgotten Capital with new elements added in. Now, Switch 2 owners can also download the demo by entering the following redemption codes on the Nintendo eShop, and I'll have them up for you guys right here. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is now available for the PlayStation 5 and PC via Steam and Epic Game Store, and will launch for the Xbox Series, Switch 2, and PC via Microsoft Store on June 3rd. So another big summer game to get into, and I'm looking forward to checking this one out. I do currently have the demo downloading right now as I'm making this video, so I will check out the demo and give you guys my impressions and thoughts of it. But from what I've seen online, it does seem like it runs and looks pretty decent. Now, it's obviously not going to be as good as like a PlayStation 5 Pro or a PlayStation 5 or maybe even the Xbox Series X or S, but it's still going to be impressive based on the Nintendo Switch being the type of system it is, considering it's a hybrid platform that you can take anywhere that you want. There's also some influencers that went out there and got to play it hands-on and mirror the same thing as well. So very good when it comes to Final Fantasy. I'm looking forward to seeing how they finish off this trilogy and what's next for Final Fantasy down the line. So what do you guys think about this demo for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth on the Switch 2 and Xbox Series? Do you plan on checking out the demo or even buying the full game? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, and moving on to the final topic here, let's discuss what's happening with the potential Metroid movie that could be leaning into horror. So Metroid leaker V Scooper, who you will remember from earlier, who said that both Universal Pictures and Sony are vying to get a Metroid movie under their belt, has commented a little more on what he has heard. He says that Universal Pictures are leaning into horror for their bid for the Metroid movie, but clearly not to the extent that it would receive a R rating or an 18+ rating in the UK. It has not been made clear what direction Sony Pictures are pushing for the movie, which remains a rumor for now. So he essentially just said, yes, Universal has ideas to make this leaning into horror. So that would be interesting because Metroid definitely has some horror aspects to it. Even before like Metroid Dread came out, there was Metroid Fusion, which had the horror aspects of the SAX clone and everything like that. So I think that that was interesting. I remember playing it back in the day. That was kind of scary at times. And then you've also had other things that have stalked Samus before and just been scary when it comes to some Metroid games. But Metroid Dread definitely leaned into a bit more of the horror aspect, and the Emmys kind of stalking and chasing you around and everything. It was kind of scary when that thing would come and pounce on you and you had to see if you can get that counter twice or not. So I think that a horror style or leaning into a horror aspect of a Metroid movie would be pretty cool, and Metroid just seems like it would be a dope movie to do. Now, it is a rumor, so keep that in mind. This is not a confirmed thing or anything like that, but it does seem like Nintendo would probably want to do a Metroid movie, boost the profile of the franchise, and maybe that can make the video game franchise more popular as well. We still have the rumors of a Star Fox game coming, and we saw what happened with Star Fox. Before that, Donkey Kong had been on hiatus for quite some time when it comes to a brand new game. We saw Donkey Kong in the movie for Mario, so I think that Nintendo would absolutely love to have a Metroid movie and obviously make a ton of money off of it too as well, because they'd sell the license, but they would probably love to have a Metroid movie and it make Samus and make the Metroid franchise more popular. So let's see what happens. We don't know officially or anything like that. There's still no confirmed details, but if they were able to do something like that and it was good, of course, obviously that'd be a benefit to all of the gamers out there, people who love Metroid and everything. So what do you guys think about all the different topics that we discussed here? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this one here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and check out my other Nintendo Switch 2 and RPG content right here on screen. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.